So, what a great opportunity to sit down with my dear friend Bryan Hill. Bryan is not only the county executive for Fairfax County, he's also, full disclosure, an Alfred University alum, as am I, as is my daughter who's a librarian there. So we run in the purple and gold pretty strong, don't we?
And not for me today, though, but I see you're looking pretty good.
You got a little gold in the tie. I like it. I like it. So, Bryan, for those folks who don't know, Fairfax County has a population of about 1,158,000 and an annual budget of over $4.4 billion. It's a pretty big operation, and you and your team now have to handle all the implications that came out of COVID. So how would you describe the current state of Fairfax County during this COVID crisis in terms of the medical health of the community, the economic health of the community, and how the county's government is responding to this crisis?
Well, all very good questions. And again, thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to sit with you. The medical health of the community has been quite interesting to me. Obviously, being the largest population center in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we do have great medical support. Inova Hospital and Dr. Stephen Jones has provided us with ample bed space. We have a public health department led by Gloria Ayensu. So sometimes I have to slow down to say
Dr. Gloria, we usually call her.
We call her Dr. Gloria. And what we've been trying to do, our strategy has been always to box it in. You can't get a strategy other than to box it in when there's no national strategy. So what we've done in Fairfax, we have about a positivity rate per this airing is about 6%, which is not great, not bad, not good, because 0 is the best. But we've been able to box it in, and she has done an excellent job with her and her team. Now, when you look at the economic health of the community, we had a big announcement just recently. Microsoft basically quadrupled their footprint in Reston. So we have Microsoft Corporation coming here to, I wouldn't say it's their second headquarters, but they are starting to fill it in pretty well. And with that, we've had Fannie Mae telling us that they're going to increase their footprint, as well as several other companies. But people need to understand in Fairfax County, of the 200,000 companies that we have, think about that.
Wow.
93% of them are 10 employees or less. So our goal, obviously, is to ensure that we support our economic development throughout Fairfax County. Rebecca Maudry in the Department of Economic Initiatives has created a RISE program, of which you probably can speak about a little bit here at the JCC. But it was a program stood up to ensure that nonprofits and small businesses were able to continue through this crazy time. And finally, you say county government response. I walk around the government center. My 15,000 employees are very happy to still be employed. But the one thing I say to them is, this is a time for us to change. And if we change, we can get ahead of the curve. And that's why we're in our strategic plan. So looking at the holistic approach of how we do things, I think we've done pretty well in trying to navigate through COVID-19, 20, and 21. I always say that. COVID 60, 19, 20, and 21. I'm a math guy.
Mm-hmm.
But COVID has been a very interesting time. And I have to tell you, it's like dog years for me. I feel like I've been here 20 years already in the last 6 months.
You've been here how long? About 2.5 years?
It'll be 3 years in January.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. And yes, thank you very much for the shout out on the RISE program. Every bit of support helps the J, as our financial model, our business model has been upended by COVID as well. With COVID, have the county's priorities had to shift? And if so, how have they shifted?
Well, of course, the one thing I'll always say to you, as well as every community resident and the Board of Supervisors, they have been ahead of the curve. They've been pushing us to say, all right, COVID is new, COVID is different. What are we going to do to change how we respond and react to things? We've stood up a lot of different programs during this time. The question is it going to be the same program and model going forward? Jeff McKay, the chairman of the board for supervisors, has stated to me, I want a spry and I want to be able to pivot. So a spry government and a government able to pivot. I think we pivoted pretty well during this time. But I will tell you, I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but I think Fairfax County government is going to be well positioned to handle tomorrow.
Well, again, with full disclosure, as you know, I serve on the Human Services Council the last couple of years as budget chair. So we were among those cheerleading the announcement of the One Fairfax policy. And for those who are watching today who don't know what that is, I'm going to take a moment and just read from the county's website, and then I'm going to ask you a little something about One Fairfax. So according to Fairfax County website, One Fairfax is a joint social and racial equity policy of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and School Board. It commits the county and schools to intentionally consider equity when making policies or delivering programs and services. It's a declaration that all residents deserve an equitable opportunity to succeed, regardless of their race, color, sex, nationality, sexual orientation, religion, disability, income, or where they live. So One Fairfax was passed in 2017, and it recognizes inequities which have come more sharply into focus locally and across the Commonwealth of Virginia. And since the death of George Floyd, have issues of race and inequity become more pressing focus of your job, if not your worldview?
And that's an excellent question. You know, I'm going to answer that in probably several pieces. One Fairfax was adopted by the Board of Supervisors in 2017, as well as the Fairfax County public school system. Over the last 6 months, with all the social unrest and racial unrest throughout the United States, I do find it's difficult for us to talk about things that we're not comfortable talking about. The George Floyd situation was absolute travesty. We are ahead of the curve. We looked at the Minneapolis, the police department's standard operating procedures. Some of the things in there we changed in 2002. So when you look at what we're doing as a government, I think we can absolutely speak about it in a fashion where it makes us a racially tolerant place. Problem with being in Fairfax County is that we're right next to Washington, D.C. We have Montgomery County, we have Prince George's County, the three large municipalities. And when something happens across the river or something happens in Fairfax, we all have to worry and take into effect that this could be in our backyard. I do strongly believe that the Board of Supervisors has led us down a correct path. Are we perfect? No. Should we strive to be perfect? Absolutely. And having dialogue with folks like you, as well as many others in our community, get us to that place to understand why we do the things we do. So I believe George Floyd was an omen. Unfortunately, somebody lost their lives with it, but it was a chance for many others to dialogue and talk about what should we do as a country. And I think we've done a very good job here in Fairfax County.
You know, it's interesting. In addition to the racial tensions that came out of George Floyd, there was a whole movement towards what is being referred to as defund the police. But it's really not, from my impression, it's not so much about defunding the police as much as it is having the police coordinate with other social service agencies to more effectively deliver on their promise to keep the public safe. And Fairfax County was ahead of the curve again with Diversion First, which many of our members probably don't know anything about. So if you want to take a few seconds to just talk about Diversion First, I hadn't planned on asking you that, but as we're talking, it seems like a great example of where Fairfax was ahead of the game.
When you look at Diversion First, and that's basically we're trying to divert folks from going into jail. And what can we do? What programs can we put in place to help them understand that that's not a good course of action? So we work very well with the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Stacy Kincaid, when she sees this, she'll probably call me and say, you should have said this or you should have said that, but that's fine. And former supervisor, Braddock Supervisor John Cook, who was a spearhead of Diversion First, we're looking at basically trying to work with our people here in Fairfax County. If you're going to commit a crime, maybe we can figure out ways to help you not commit that crime. And once you commit a crime, how do we divert you from trying to do it again? That program is stood up, and we have actually seen, unfortunately, folks coming in who have done multiple crimes. They can't be diverted. We understand that. But the folks that have been diverted, fortunately, are not back in our adult detention center. So it's been a good program thus far. And we are looking at the cost that it takes for us to run it versus the cost it takes us to have them in jail versus costs that we can reallocate to other programs.
I want to change gears on you a little bit.
And you always do.
What role do or could faith-based communities and organizations play in building greater equity between and among the diverse populations of Fairfax County? And from your perspective, where does the Pozez JCC fit into that equation, both in its service to the Jewish community and into the broader community as well?
And that, again, that is an excellent, excellent question. As we look at Fairfax County and the multitude of faith-based and nonprofits, the J is obviously one of the prominent ones, but we have many others. We have to get on board with our strategic plan. That strategic plan has 9 outlying priorities of where the Board of Supervisors want to take Fairfax County. Once we take Fairfax County down that road, we then couple that with what you do as a support mechanism, because we talk about One Fairfax in the earlier question. It's One Fairfax concept. Once we have the priority set and we look towards getting One Fairfax implemented throughout the county, you guys meaning the faith-based and the nonprofits, are the rubric of connecting the community to the government. This is why I'm always talking to you and many others about what can we do and how do we marry things up to allow your world to be a little bit easier to manage while we're helping you and you're helping us. If we can't collaborate and dialogue, there's where you're going to have the problem. Whether we're doing it right, whether we're doing it wrong, the ability to be able to dialogue and communicate where we should take Fairfax County is the key. And I am going to tell you this, Jeff McKay, chairman of the board, listens to everyone. Every board member, every Board of Supervisors members listens to every person in this community. The question now is, how do you put a good plan together so we buy the ingredients and we all cook the meal? And that's where we're trying to get to.
Well, I can tell you from our perspective, it's a great partnership with Fairfax County. Our relationship with you, with Chairman McKay, with Penny Gross, our supervisor, and many, many other supervisors who we are not in their district, but they are very knowledgeable of the J and active in it, and we appreciate all of their support. Not to mention Stacy Kincaid, who's a member of our
You
community.
better mention
well.
Stacy
There you
Kincaid.
go. There you go. Is there anything else that you would like the Pozez JCC membership to know?
Well, I just want them to know that we are here to help. We're not here to hurt. Whenever this man calls me, it is like an instantaneous response, except for one time where he said he texted me and I did miss the text. And a week later, you kind of called me up on the phone and said, "Hey, you okay? What's the problem? You missed the text. I'm sorry."
I was worried about you, my friend.
Yeah. But just a continuing dialogue is all I need. And if we are able to, whether we agree or disagree, we leave here the same way we came in, we're in a good place. And so far, so good. Again, we're both from the same academic alma mater, so I think we have some reason to make sure that this works well, because our names are always going to be linked together as long as we're both here in Fairfax County. So I
Sure hope so.
appreciate you pushing me. How's that? I'll let all the folks that are listening to this, you push me.
Well, I appreciate you being receptive to the occasional nudge and for all your support. And thank you for coming in today and visiting with me and sharing your thoughts with our community. And look forward to the day when we're all back in the J every day and get you working out in the gym and whatever else you want to do here.
I appreciate that, and I really, really appreciate your hospitality and your openness. And again, we're here to work together, not against each other. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Bryan.
Welcome.